Urban County Policy Board, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone. We'll start with introductions. I don't know, Michael, or if one of your team wants to go through that, but I'll go ahead and start. Councillor Olson, District 2, Clark County.
And Emily, you go ahead and do the roll call following the participant list. I'll go next. Michael Torres, Clark County Community Services.
I'm Emily Langston, Clark County Community Services. Rebecca and Janet, you want to go ahead?
Rebecca Royce, Clark County Community Services.
Greg Thornton, Mayor of the Center.
Ron Onslow, Counselor at Ridgefield.
Jim Hodges, City of Camas.
Marina Veray, Council Member for the Town of Yakult.
Chair Strosher, Deputy Mayor, City of Battleground.
Michael, does one of your team just want to maybe go through kind of, I know it's difficult on these Zoom meetings to sort of have folks chime in, but maybe if one of your team can go through the guest and they can just introduce themselves after you ask them, or
absolutely. And Emily, would you mind just going through doing the roll call following the participant list?
Yeah, Morgan Gist.
Here. Hi.
And when could you please just state your name when you're, even though you're being called out, state your name and say what organization you're from, so all the UCPB members know who's here.
Very good. Morgan Guest from Recovery Cafe, Clark County.
David Scott.
Morning, David Scott, City of West Eagle.
Caitlin.
Good morning. My name is Caitlin Dittmar. I'm with YWCA of Clark County.
Philip Johnson. Philip, I don't think we can hear you.
I don't think he has audio. He's Mayor with Battleground.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Philip Johnson's here. I'll move on to the next.
I think you have everyone present.
Is that everyone? That shouldn't be everyone.
No, but it's everyone who I see on the participants list right now.
That's everyone I'm seeing also.
Good morning, Emily. Bob Law, New Heights Clinic. I don't know if you can.
No,
oh, thank you, Bob.
Thank you. And Councillor Olson, I think we have everyone that's in the meeting right now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everybody kind of working with us, as it's kind of clunky on these Zoom calls when we have so many guests and folks with the meeting. So thank you all for being here this morning. Next item on the agenda is approval of the September 13th, 2021 minutes and January 10th, 2022 meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion.
I move to accept. This is Ron Onslow.
Second, Dave Scott.
Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much. All right, item 3, vice chair election. This is our first meeting of the year. So who is Ron Onslow? Are you our current vice chair?
I am.
Okay. And I will accept nominations from anyone to nominate anyone else.
Nominate Ron Onslow.
Yeah.
All right. Do we need a second to that nomination?
No.
No. Okay. Does anybody else want to nominate it? All right. Well, that's sorry, Ron.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
All right. Well, let's all those in favor of Ron Onslow as vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Well, there you go, Ron. Welcome back.
It's easy.
It is. It's a great thing. All right. Item 4, program updates. Michael, I'll turn this over to you, I think.
Thank you. And Emily, go ahead.
I don't think I have any program updates today. I don't know, Michael or Rebecca, if you have anything you want to add. But yeah, I don't have program updates.
The only thing that I would add, not for this meeting, but we will be briefing you in the upcoming meetings, is the home ARP plan. The American Recovery Plan does require, we got about $2 million of home specific ARP funds. Some of those funds may be used to fill these existing requests and the applicant presentations you are going to receive. And separate from our usual action plan submission to HUD, we are required to submit a home ARP plan to HUD as well for these funds. And I expect we will do it in parallel with the home action plan submission. So that would be a presentation to the Urban County Policy Board in the next 2 months, likely presentation to the Clark County Council between May to early summer, and then the regular action plan and the home ARP plan will be going to HUD together at that time for approval of the use of funds, as the Urban County Policy Board has recommends and the Clark County Council adopts. Any questions on that? Thank you.
All right, then we will move on to applicant presentations, and I will turn this back over to your team, Michael.
Thank you. So for applicant presentations, each applicant will have 5 minutes to present. We will pull up your PowerPoint presentation for you and flip between slides for you. You have 5 minutes to present, and we are really trying to stay on schedule and be respectful of everyone's time today. So if you're over 5 minutes, you might get a little bit of a buffer, but we'll be muting you pretty quick if you're over a 5-minute presentation. And the board members will have 5 minutes following each presentation to ask questions of the applicant. Our TPER applications will be that 5-minute Q&A only. They will not be doing a separate presentation. And then I will just add that we do have, we had one request for a schedule change. So Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon will be presenting at 10:40 at the beginning of our asset and economic development section. Other than that, the schedule is as was sent out to everyone.
And I just wanted to add in, both to the Urban County Policy Board and to the participants in general, we really hate the timers. We don't, we don't like doing the, you're about to run out of time. We certainly don't like just going into mute, and it's not to be draconian, so I apologize ahead of time. The issue is, in general, and even when it's in person, but especially when we're doing Zoom meetings, having the structured time slots is incredibly important, because we do have some applicant presenters that are actually showing up for their 10-minute slot, and then they're going to leave. So if it really goes off the rails, it has a downstream impact on multiple presentations. So we apologize for the timer. We apologize for the need to mute if it goes over, but it's incredibly important to keep us on schedule here. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I think we're ready to get started then with City of Camas first.
Good morning, board and guests. I'd like to present to you the City of Camas application for 2022. It's very similar to past applications in that it's a project in a eligible neighborhood, an area that's badly decayed as far as the infrastructure goes, and so our plan is to upgrade the infrastructure on Northeast 14th, or actually Northwest 14th in Camas. And so the image on the cover there is a past project we did on Northeast 12th, kind of a before and after. Next slide, please. So our project area is generally kind of in the middle of Camas, if you will, and then I've located it within the census tract and eligible block group area there with the red arrow, just to indicate where it is. It's in the middle of a dense, semi-dense residential area, single family, some apartments, lots of duplexes and conversions, etc. So it's not too far from downtown. Next slide, please. These are some examples of what Northwest 14th looks like now. You can see the pavement's severely distressed. We've made efforts to patch it over the years, to keep it, hold it together, etc. And you know, it's just simply lived its life, I would say. This is the original light bituminous product that was put in, you know, many decades ago, and we have sealed it and done other things to try to preserve it over a very long time, and it's just time to replace it. Similarly, the sidewalk on the lower left is in the same state. It's just simply worn out. The concrete's cracked, it's heaving in some places, and it's got a lot of trip hazards and other similar obstacles. And then the lower right's just an example of a ramp that needs to be installed where there isn't really a compliant ramp. Next slide, please. So here's generally shows the project limits, the summary of the improvements, and then the contributions, our grant request, and the city funding for the project. So we're requesting $212,000 in CDBG funds. The city contribution totals $157,000 for a total project of $369,000, and our match is about 42.5%. As I mentioned earlier, this is just kind of a plan view. It shows all the improvements, the water upgrades, and so you'll see the blue water line extending through the project limits down below, and then the pavement restoration, which is a little yeah, a little difficult to see. There's not as much contrast as I probably should have put on it. And then ADA ramps and sidewalks. Next slide, please. So what's proposed? Reconstruct severely damaged asphalt roadway using the same method that we've used for many years as far as these little neighborhood projects, which is a cement amending process and new asphalt, new curb ramps, new sidewalks, replace the water main and services. It's obviously important. It's in an eligible neighborhood, and the road is beyond being repaired anymore, and the water line is undersized, or the services, I should say, are undersized for the single family homes. And we can't construct the project without CDBG funding. I think the other items that are listed there are things I've already talked about. I want to save a few seconds in case there are any questions.
Any
I had a
questions?
question.
ahead.
This is Ron Onslow. The area that we're talking about, are you talking about in the downtown area or where you've had the similar areas up above on that bluff area?
Yeah, this is up above the downtown area where that kind of that bench is, up by Crown Park.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, and so Crown Park on the slide we're looking at is that vacant. Yeah, there it is. She's got her cursor on it. That's where Crown Park is, right there, that large.
Okay, yeah, I know where it is. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much.
What's the project cost?
Total is $369.
And match?
Our match is 42.5%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how are we moving on here to the next?
If there are no other questions, we can go ahead and move on to New Heights Clinic if you're ready to get started.
Good morning. Yes, Madam Chairman, Board, and fellow guests. Here on behalf of New Heights Clinic, a little bit of background about the clinic. New Heights Clinic provides free medical care for those people who sort of are underserved or unserved, fall into the gap between Apple Health, that is Medicaid in Washington, and those that can afford health insurance and conventional health care. Typically, these are the working poor or people who've recently become unemployed who don't have income but haven't yet administratively qualified for the health care that's available to those without income. We use, similar to the Battleground Clinic, we use a 300% federal poverty level cutoff for services, but most of our patients are well below that number. We conduct basically 9 clinics a week. That's most days plus evening clinics. We also conduct an outreach to homeless people based from where we hold our offices. And we work in conjunction with Open House, who also provides some space to us. The clinic is supported by New Heights Church, which pays the salaries and provides a full-time medical director, a part-time medical director, full-time physician, a full-time registered nurse clinic manager, and an administrative assistant. And then those folks coordinate the work of typically about 200 volunteers in a given year. Pre-COVID, in a typical year, we would see about 2,500 patients, most receiving services of 30 to 60 minutes, that is longer patient visits, 2,500 patient visits, most 30 to 60 minutes. Because our patients typically are those that have chronic problems, there's sort of a de facto division of work where the free clinic in downtown Vancouver sees patients with acute, immediate problems like a cut, a broken bone, or something like that. New Heights Clinic sees those with persistent problems like diabetes or high blood pressure, certain kinds of mental illness problems. So, and typically prior to COVID, we would see about 400 to 500 dental patients in a year. When COVID came, the unsuitableness of our facility really became evident, and we switched entirely to telemed because there was no way in our current facility to maintain medically appropriate distancing. And in fact, the clinic facility right now, I think you'd consider it welcoming, comforting, but it's a small, older house. It's a split level house, and the exam rooms are up, former bedrooms up half a staircase. It's not a great place to do medicine, but I think we do great medicine there anyway. The background on our funding request, in 2020, we awarded some COVID-related funding for medical facilities applied. Initially, I think there was a favorable leaning toward us, but the Battleground Clinic needed additional funding, and we certainly don't begrudge them that funding. We're encouraged to apply again this year, although I'm not sure how well this fits with the pots of money you have available. And if ultimately you decide this just isn't a qualified project, I would understand. There was an opportunity last year with special funding. This may not be the year for it. We have previously, we're planning to take advantage of the special funding to situate the project using a modular facility temporarily sited on the one piece of the New Heights Central Campus, which consists of multiple parcels, the one piece that had appropriate zoning. Since then, knowing that we have more time, we've applied to rezone the entire campus. The matter has received favorable support from both the planning staff and the planning commission. In fact, will be before the county council tomorrow night for a preliminary hearing, I gather. We've also started our engineering to pick the most appropriate location. The amount we've requested is probably not in any way suitable to pay even half the cost of the facility, but until we know exactly where we've sited it, we won't have the full design work underway. But we are paying the engineering cost to determine the most suitable location. We will be looking for funding from other sources. We've received some inquiries of interest from some that we consider good sources, and the church itself is, in addition to providing the land, is willing to assist with the funding. So that's basic our presentation in a nutshell. Happy to answer questions.
Questions for Bob?
So the request is for a building, a facility?
Yes, sir. 600,000 for a facility.
Thank you.
Are there any matching funds?
Well, the matching funds in the sense that the church is providing property and engineering. We expect that they will also be providing additional funds for the building. And then we intend to use, should we receive this, we also intend to seek matching funds from third parties, and we're aware of some that have expressed interest.
Okay, other questions?
But again, I would want to say, if this is not, last year was an opportunistic moment. If this is not the right source of funding, please feel free to say so. We're not just trying to crowd in and edge out other worthy things.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sounds like no more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Next, we have Recovery Cafe.
Hi, my name is Morgan Gist, and I'm with the Recovery Cafe Clark County. And the Recovery Cafe of Clark County is home to a multitude of services and linkage to resources for people engaging in their recovery from substance use disorders, mental health challenges, homelessness, etc. And we're seeking $200,000 for the acquisition of a real property in East Clark County, Camas. Next slide, please. So this is the building. This is where members would go this time next year to attend their recovery circle once a week. That's a required membership. They would come here if they needed like a pair of boots, steel-toe boots for their job. We would connect them with an employment specialist, or if somebody is making their rent payment but they don't have their lease, we would connect them with the FCS housing specialist, and we'd help them get funds for that lease. So those are the kinds of things we do at the Recovery Cafe. Next slide, please. So we're also seeking a $100,000 match with Murdoch Charitable Trust. Those negotiations are, that request is still in progress. And one of our emerging partners at the cafe, Linda Smith of Shared Hope, has helped us secure that connection. And we have two alternatives working. Our partner with AmeriGroup, Leanne O'Neill, has reached out to us and asked us to apply to Anthem for the match, and that's been done. And then most importantly, what I want to stress here is that the match will be done, and even at the point where we reach through our own network, and we have a verbal okay to get that letter of intent before March 1st, if we have to do that. Next slide, please. So this is about one of our programs that's centric to this building in Camas, and it's about the Blake legislation and the Recovery Navigator program in the state. And essentially the Blake legislation has to do with a different way of our legislatures addressing the war on drugs and shifting from arresting an individual with a low-level substance abuse disorder and shifting away from that, and then having somebody like the cafe engage in field case management for this individual, and also long-term management for the individual, again, out on the field, but we help them navigate their recovery. And what I also really appreciate about it is that it has real monies to help individuals out on the field. Okay, next slide, please. And the Recovery Navigator program, again, it's funded through Beacon Health Options. The funding is for programs and services versus the infrastructure where where the cafe is requesting funds. Next slide, please. And these are some of our emerging partners. We're working closely with Jim West Commercial Real Estate to survey and advise us on this particular property. Our financing is with Columbia Credit Union, and Beacon Health funded the RMP program that this is weaved into. Next slide, please. Yes, questions and answers. That's my 1-year pin. I've been with the cafe since January last year. Been sober since then, and that's my 1-year medallion. And I made it by gluing my medallion to a 30-year pin I had in the private sector. It's pretty cool. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, doesn't sound like there are questions from the board. So thank you so much, Morgan. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
City of Richfield, are you here and ready?
I am here and ready.
Perfect, thank you.
So I'm Brenda Howell. Thank you, Julie. I'm here to talk about the G Creek Loop project. Next slide, please. So this is the G Creek Loop. It is a manufactured home. Sorry, it is a manufactured home community. It was built in 1993, and it was platted as a private community, which meant the residents owned both the streets and the storm facility and were responsible for maintenance. Now, this is a low-income neighborhood. More than 90% of the residents identified as low income. About 16% are get the disabled or elderly or senior tax exemption from the county. This neighborhood couldn't really afford to maintain the streets and the stormwater facility, and the city took ownership of both items in 2018 and started investigating ways to address these the problems that were caused by lack of maintenance. Next slide, please. These are some of the project elements. The most important being on the right-hand side are the drainage improvements. You can see that they've got some flooding problems. So both in the front and the backyard, caused by a couple of elements we'll go over. And we also want to add a pedestrian crossing of Pioneer Street to Abrams Park. The 40-acre Abrams Park is right across the street, but it's very hazardous to attempt to get to it. Next slide, please. So I included this just to kind of show you the location. On the upper left-hand corner is a stilling basin that collects water from a pretty steep hillside there that collects stormwater from a large area up the hill. In the street there on the right-hand side are a couple of catch basins that we intend to replace. They currently don't have sumps, and they allow a lot of sediment to clog the pipe, as well as the swale that is on the far right side. Next slide, please. So these are some existing pictures. The swale I just mentioned, this is the outfall structure to the swale. And if you're like me, you might be like, what swale? And that is the problem. Sediment has clogged it to the point that it's really not functioning. The left-hand side is the hillside structure that's currently collecting the water off the hillside. You'll see there's some channelization coming in. This picture was taken after a recent dry spell, and there's still water running into it. So you can imagine how much water there is in the rain. It's completely insufficient for collecting the water, and a lot of the water ends up in the adjacent backyards. Next slide, please. This is the final element of our grant application. It is the crossing to G Creek Park. We're proposing a crossing, some sidewalk, rapid flashing beacons to let you know a pedestrian is crossing. Now, this is State Route 501 as well as Pioneer Street, so WashDOT owns it. The speed limit is 40 miles per hour. WashDOT, in conversations with WashDOT, they said they would be open to lowering the speed limit if we can slow the traffic down. So part of the proposed improvements here would be what are called, my words escaping me, traffic calming measures to slow the traffic in this area. Next slide, please. Now, the traffic calming measures haven't been designed yet. So these are just some examples of what you might see that would help slow the traffic down and provide a safe crossing for the residents. Now, the stormwater improvements, I forgot to say this, were completely, we have 100% design that was funded by the Public Works Trust Fund. This part we would be designing with this project too. The traffic calming measures to me are very important. It'll allow a safe crossing there. To get to Abrams, it's a 40-acre park with soccer fields and softball fields, part of the G Creek Trail, playgrounds, a lot of amenities. Anyway, that's all I have for you. Any questions?
Questions?
Jim Hodges here with the City of Camas. Are all the improvements within a public right-of-way?
All the improvements are either within the public right-of-way or a tract owned by the public. With the exception of some of that, we would have to unclog the pipe that runs across so I have to take that back actually, from the street to the swale, and the stilling basin is also located kind of on the property line between two homes. Of course, those two homes are taking the brunt of the flooding when the stilling basin doesn't work. So we think they'll be amenable to allowing us to get in there and repair it.
So when the street became public, the rights to the street were relinquished to the city and it became the city right away?
That is correct. It's now city right away, and it took the maintenance responsibility off of the homeowners association there and transferred it to the city.
Thank you.
You bet.
Other questions? Okay, Brenda, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and we will move on. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Brenda. City of Washougal, if you're here and ready, you can go right ahead.
Yes, thank you, David Scott from the City of Washougal. I'll walk through this. Our request this year is for a half basketball court at Hamlich Park. This may be familiar to you, as you'll see in a couple of minutes. Next slide, please. Just a little background on the park. It's been around for a little while. It's named after a former council member, served this neighborhood for about 42 years. You may recall this park from requests, or this neighborhood actually, from requests in the past and funding in the past. It's a low-income qualifying census tract with families located all around this park. There are some apartment complexes close by, including one with which you are likely familiar, the Gateway Garden Apartments. That's a HUD facility that's operated by Reach Community Development. There are 2 manufactured home communities in the neighborhood as well, and this neighborhood has really benefited from prior CDBG program investments for sidewalks and affordable housing. Next slide, please. This will just orient you again to where this is at. The neighborhood's kind of in a challenging location. It's directly north of SR 14, just as you're heading out of the city of Washougal and into the rural area and ultimately the scenic area. You can see our wastewater treatment plant at the very bottom right there with the blue roofs. And then you can see the neighborhood, some of the other projects that have occurred over the years, yellow sidewalks to get folks in the neighborhood across the BNSF line and to Evergreen Way and to shopping. The Gateway Garden Apartments are shown in red, very proximal to this park. And then there is Hamlich Park. There was an award last year at Hamlich Park for renovations to that park. And I'll get to the details of why we're back on this park this year. Next slide, please. So we've had quite a bit of outreach with this neighborhood and really strong desire for a half basketball court at this location. We, as I mentioned, had an award last year for a number of renovations. You might remember the playground was essentially falling apart, couldn't get parts. Buildings and other facilities were very deteriorated, needed some assistance to get those things replaced and restored. As I'm sure you're all experiencing in the municipal sector and probably in the private and not-for-profit sector, cost issues and other issues related to delivering these projects are pretty challenging. And so we could not deliver the half-court basketball court, which was intended to be included in the project last year. So our request is essentially just to kind of increase the amount of funding from that project from last year by about $50,000. It's $70,000 to do the whole court. So 20 of that 70 is our match. Next slide, please. Just to let you know about the neighborhood's feedback, we've done some surveys and other outreach there, and they've told us that they really could use some activities that might engage teens or younger adults. And this was kind of where they landed on amenity and recreation activity that would do that. So we really hope this will be another outlet for youths and young adults in that area. Next slide, please. Some details on the funding. You can see all the different components that go into delivering a half-court basketball facility on a city park. And you can see that we've got our match from cash and some in-kind work that's happened there. Slide, please. And possible photos of what it could potentially look like. Obviously, this is not our neighborhood, but examples of half basketball courts. This is what we're hoping to accomplish for this neighborhood that could really use some additional support. And again, it's a basically just taking care of the project we had last time, a very small $50,000 request with $20,000 of match. That's it. Thanks very much.
Thanks, David. Any questions for David? Okay, doesn't sound like there are questions. Thanks again, David. Appreciate your time.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, David. I think we're a little bit ahead of time, but I think because we've got it on the schedule, let's just go ahead and do the 10-minute break now. And then, so I guess everybody come back at 10:20, and then we'll move on to asset and economic development.
Okay, sounds great. Take a 10-minute break.
Julie.
Yes.
I have a dental appointment at
All right. Is everyone back, or should we give it another minute here?
Back.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started then.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Olson. Carmen, are you here and ready to start?
Yes, I am here.
Perfect.
Hello. So I don't have a slide here in presentation. However, I would like to speak about Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon. We are a nonprofit organization that has been around for over 17 years, supporting small businesses in local communities, primarily to support underserved and disadvantaged minority-owned businesses. And so we have worked with several CDBG grants across the county, across Oregon, and what we would like to request is an amount of $50,400. We will be supplementing it with $11,600 with a total support of $62,000. The services we are seeking is in response to the work that we are doing in the city of Vancouver at this time. What we are finding is because of CDBG limitations, we are only able to support those within the geographic map of the city of Vancouver. What we are finding is within the outlying areas of Camas, Washougal, and other areas outside of Vancouver, they are coming to MISO to request small business services. And so this is why we wanted to make this request for a half-time FTE in support of the work that we are currently doing in Clark County. We are excited to be there. The technical assistance services that we provide are one-on-one, culturally nimble services to small businesses. We actually offer lending as well, from $100 credit builders all the way up to $150,000 for those that are ready to purchase storefronts that we can supplement their loans for. That's the lending program. It's very versatile. We work with those that are unbanked. However, we walk them through the process in making sure that they have the services and support that they need to be successful. Some of the other technical assistance services that we do provide is marketing and research. We also provide social digital media support, again, in response to COVID, because of so many businesses having to shift online. And we also provide really a lot of that cultural support in the community and referrals and resources to other services that will help their businesses grow. And we're excited to be in Clark County, and that's the work that we do every single day with small businesses. That's my presentation.
All right, thank you. What questions? So Carmen, just confirming and qualifying that the work you're doing or the funds that you're asking for will be work you're doing in the county and not in the city of Vancouver.
That is correct.
Okay.
Where is your facility located?
Our facility is currently on 4th Plain, which is donated by a local bank.
Any other questions for Carmen?
Hey, Carmen, this is Michael Torres. I do have one question. You mentioned in your presentation that you guys do small loans. Are you planning to use the CDBG funds you are requesting to establish a kind of revolving loan fund, or is the funding specific to your part-time FTE?
The funding is just to support the FTE. We have an existing loan fund that we would pull from, and it's sourced from multiple different resources.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no more questions for Carmen, then Carmen, thank you so much for your time, and we will move on to Greater Vancouver Chamber.
Great, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for this time to share our plan for the CDBG Economic Development Grant. My name is John McDonough. I'm President and CEO of the Greater Vancouver Chamber, and I'm joined this morning with our Vice President of Membership and Operations, Janet Konevsky, who you'll be hearing from shortly. Next slide, please. You can see that while we're not a large staff, we bring a depth of experience in working with small businesses. Myself, having been in the business community for over 40 years, and the last 18 a small business owner. Janet has 25 years of experience working with small businesses across the Western US, which provided her with a background in grant administration as well. Next slide. Chambers are focused on economic development at our core and in assisting in the growth and economic prosperity of our region's businesses. In our region, the GVC has been vital in providing recovery resources to the local business community. Next slide. Businesses, especially micro enterprises, can lose valuable time and money due to the lack of understanding or development in one aspect of their business, causing the entire venture to fail. This is why the Greater Vancouver Chamber created the Business Pod. Next slide. Business Pod is pathways to opportunity and development, and it assists businesses and entrepreneurs with professional and individualized guidance across the small business landscape. Next slide. You'll see here our purpose and objectives, including to provide no or low-cost business assistance. It's geared toward low and moderate income business owners and entrepreneurs to assist them in obtaining the essential functions for their business success and to provide individual assistance through education. One-on-one counseling, coaching, and referrals, as well as resources. And at this time, Janet will provide some additional information on our application.
Great. Thanks, John. Next slide, please. So what makes this program different? We looked at the POD program and we did an intake and a survey with professionals of services and retailers that were in the 1 to 5 year growth period, and asked them what did they need most when they were starting out in their own endeavors. One of the things that they talked about was they did have resources. So there are general resources that we all can reach out to that are promoted through SBA and through some other programs. But what they were lacking was the navigation, the hand holding, really getting them from point A to point B, not just in generic pointing to different resources and uncovering what resources are available, but being part of the journey with them. So we developed this program to be the concierge of a company, to really make that difference and help a company either get through the recovery period or be able to stave off another recovery with the development of their company from A to Z. Next slide. We're looking at offering educational workshops, individual coaching and cohort sessions. Those are really important for us to be able to get companies connected and meeting with one another, in addition to getting offerings to them to fill the skill gap. Next slide. Topics include, I'm going to go through these slides really quick, how to write a business plan, how to get them application ready. We're working with our local banks and commercial loan centers to make sure that the people that come to them and get denied or who are not quite ready yet get ready, and that's through some of the help that we're doing. Some companies, a lot of companies actually are approaching us needing help from marketing, HR information, a really comprehensive look at what a company might need. Next slide. Diversity, that's important for us to look at how do we include some of the trainings and resources to make sure a company is joining the and becoming an inclusive provider of services and a retailer in this region. Financial planning, e-commerce. Next slide. Actually, we can go through a couple of other slides. One more. Okay, so empowering the small businesses is going to be really what we're focusing on. Those that are in the development. Next slide. Participant one, I wanted to give you an example of what one might look like. It could be taking a business owner that's been around for 20 years, wants to have a change of pace, wants to look for a different career in the second phase of life. So looking at the POD program and helping them, coach them on how to start up their own business when they've been working for an organization, maybe for the last 10 to 15 years and looking for other opportunities. Next slide. Participant two, this is somebody who wanted to expand. We're going to be looking at helping companies figure out, is expanding 1, 2, or 3 shops, should they scale back? Really giving them that customized data and research to help them make decisions on how and when to scale a business. I usually talk really, really fast. I could have gone through all this, but we can go to the end. We wanted to provide some slides in here that did give a detailed budget breakdown. There's information in there if it needs to be looked at further on the types of information we're looking at providing. We are working with the CDBG in Vancouver. This is expected to hit everybody in the Clark County, and we're getting considerable amount of response in Vancouver City for companies in Clark County throughout Camas, Ridgefield, et cetera. So we know this program from the get-go will have quite a bit of success.
Thank you, Janet. Questions for John or for Janet? Okay, doesn't sound like it. Thank you both very much. We appreciate your time, and we will get back with you soon.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Okay, Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber is next, if you're ready to start. I'm sorry, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Emily, what time were they supposed to present? They might not be logged in yet.
They were scheduled for 10:50, so we are a little bit ahead of time. I don't know if it makes sense to skip ahead one and maybe come back to Hispanic Chamber.
I would say if we have our folks on the line and available, that we, could kind of proceed and do our best to come back.
Okay. Is Mercy Corps Northwest here?
I see Hannah Cotter is just logging in right now.
Hello, yes, I just logged in.
Hannah, I know that this is ahead of schedule for you, but if we jumped to you, because we are running ahead,
Okay.
you'd be able to present now, or do you need to?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, thank you. And could we move the slides to Mercy Corps? Is that possible?
Hey, Rebecca. Oh, you got it. Perfect. Thank you. And Hannah, you can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
Okay. Oh, okay, thanks. Let's go to the next page. We'll skip to the good stuff. So that was our global headquarters building. We work internationally as well. At Mercy Corps Northwest, we mainly focus on small businesses and fighting for equitable opportunities across the Pacific Northwest, which often comes in the form of small business for the income part and for avoiding the barriers that traditional employment holds. Business really opens opportunities, as I'm sure all of you know. So over the past few years, we've worked in Oregon and Washington, put millions of dollars of grants back into communities and supported over 15,000 clients. Next slide, please. I wanted to just start with how we serve the county in particular, and we'll touch on more of how we do this later. But we do have 2 staff members on the ground and a Vista member, so that's 3 people. I am coming from the microfinance side of things. I'm the program manager. We have Miriam, who is the program officer. She is a fluent Spanish speaker. She's also an immigrant. She comes from the education side and is amazing. And then we have our Vista, who just started actually. And then we have programs that we target towards specific areas of the county. So we have our market program, which helps people, especially in the rural areas get into the farmers market. So Ridgefield and La Center are where most of our farming businesses are, or like startup incubator businesses. And then we have on-site workshops, so we reach the edges of the communities. We go to Washougal a lot. We just had a huge workshop there in the home of one of our community leaders, and clients came in there. And then we also have education led by community input. So I'll get into more of what those are, but we have our partners and our clients telling us things, and we really want to listen and pivot to what they say. Next slide. So these are some proposed activities. I'll run through these since I know the time is short, but go ahead and go to the next slide. So I'll speed through the education part, but we have a lot of really great education. So Master Your Credit allows people to look at their credit score and their own credit report with a certified credit counselor. And we have people walk away with a plan to improve their own credit score. So it's not just an overview, we really get in depth. And then we have many rotating webinars throughout the year, just based on the time. For example, tax season is coming up. We have a lot of tax webinars. And we also have one-on-one technical assistance. They can meet with us, or we also have an education person on contract to work on the financial piece of business planning and things like that. So if they have tax questions throughout the year, projections, really any of that, we can address it, anything we have. Okay, next slide. Then we have our long form, we have business foundations, kind of a standard class that we've had forever, speaks for itself a bit, foundations of starting a business. Computer literacy, we have raised this as a major need based on our experience in the county with our applications and just COVID in general. Everyone needs it. And then they can move to round 2 for taking your business online after basic computer literacy. Next slide, please. And then we also have developed an English for speakers of other languages for business class for our clients, and a GED class. So ESL is so people know how to order from vendors, they feel comfortable, they feel confident, and they see themselves as business owners, which is actually a huge barrier, especially for non-English speakers, even though they're currently running a business. And we don't want anyone to get taken advantage of at banks for signing up for terms they don't know. So GED program is next, please. The GED opens up certifications to small business owners. There's a ton of info on this slide. I know I'm running out of time. But they have this, getting the GED opens up everything that you need to be a childcare provider, which is a huge group that we want to support. You cannot be a childcare provider without a GED, which is a huge barrier, especially for immigrants and refugees. And then we also have seen the need rise for the youth ages, like 18 to 21. Post-COVID. So I'll speed the next in just like a few seconds, but we have our market assistance. I'll skip this. It's in our proposal, but we really help people get to the market stage through education and through having a booth, excuse me, a booth at the market. And then this, I just want 20 seconds. We're continuing our IDA program. It's a major program. It's really, really great asset building, which we know is so important for people to rise with their community, is to have assets in the community, assets for their business. And so we match savings. People get in the habit of saving for their business over 6 months. They save 500, we match it with 4,000. And during that time, they complete training. And so it's really great for early stage businesses and supporting people to get the start that they need or the push that they need. And then this is just that we have lending available, as well as always continued up to $50,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Hannah?
I did have a question, Hannah. This is Dave Scott.
Hi.
I was just looking at the schedule, and it mentions in the title, it's the business IDA program. So the grant request is specifically for that last program you were describing,
Yes.
the IDA program. Okay.
Well, that's just a major piece of it, and it takes up a lot of the funding because they are direct grants. So we put an emphasis on it, and it's our education goes into that. So a lot of people who go through the IDA, well, you have to take education when you're in the program, and it's also the highest touch part of the program because people can come for classes and come and go. When you're in the IDA program, you're really with us for 6 to 8 months, I would say. and it's very high touch. We're working with those clients very closely.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, it doesn't sound like it. So Hannah, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. If you have questions, I know I was speeding through, there's so much in there, but please feel free to email me and I would love to answer or provide clarity for any of that.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do see that Carmen Castro joined us. Carmen, are you ready and available for your presentation?
I think you're on mute, Carmen.
Here I am. Okay, thank you. I'm not on WebEx that often, so it's a big mystery with some of the settings. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. Happy for the opportunity to present our work. And I'm Carmen Castro, the Executive Director for the Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber. Next slide, please. So we are a culture-specific organization, and our work centers around serving the Latino population to advance the community through business development, leadership, education, and advocacy. So helping small businesses is at the core of our mission and vision. Next. To that, we have 17 members from our board, and we have, at the moment, we have 4 that are Clark County based. Next. Oh, can we go back one? Our board is 88% Latino, and our staff is 100% Latino, 100% bicultural and bilingual, and as many as 70% of us are immigrants, so we truly identify with the population that we serve. Next. We have 3 programs, but I'm going to focus, of course, on the small business development, but we do invest in youth by providing scholarships and also on folks in the workplace with leadership program. Next. The scholarship program, very briefly, over $2.8 million since the beginning of the program, because we do want to have a sustainable workforce. Next. Leadership is for those that are already in the workplace, and we support them with a full-year cohort of culture-specific professional development. Next. At the core, our small business development is to help Hispanic businesses start up and also provide them help with licensing and business plans, development, financial statement. We have not only one-on-one advising, but also we have classes, 2 classes per month to help them start a business and also to deepen their awareness and information about what it takes to continue a business. Next. So here are some of the statistics that we have, who we've served since 2003, over 4,000 businesses, and they're all small, 54% Latino, women-owned. We don't turn away anyone. However, our core is to serve the Hispanic businesses. Next. In Clark County specifically, we started since 2019. We have an office downtown Vancouver and a full FTE team member dedicated to serving Clark County. So easy access to our office for in-person meetings for all our Clark County employees, but we also do communicate via virtual means for meetings and of course phone calls. And we have longstanding community relationships. Next. Our team member is Gigi Olguin, and she has a degree in social entrepreneurship, over 6 years of economic development experience, and has served Clark County for 2.5 years very successfully. And she is now a Clark County property owner and resident, and she conducts our specialty workshop. And Gigi's been with us for 4 years, and she leads one of our workshop education programs for small businesses. We're very happy to have her. Next. And these are a couple of the businesses, the success stories that we've had that Gigi has helped with business plans, obtaining licensing, events, attending, improving their social media. Also, we have a collaboration with the Southwest Child Care Pilot Program for Home Care Mi Familia that is shown there. And there's many more like this. So I'm speeding through because I have just a little bit left. Next slide, please. And we have had a robust COVID-19 response, helping folks access grants and loans, PPE, we distributed that, and doing specialty workshops. Next. And these are some of our alliances. As we said, we're well established in the community and have collaborated with many local Clark County organizations to put together a variety of programs. Next. And there we are. Here are some of our supporters, collaborators, and you can see a variety of organizations that we have collaborated to receive funding from, support and events and the like. Is there any next slide that I may show at this point? No. So I guess I finished right on time. So sorry for the rush, but I am available to answer questions at this time.
Any questions for Carmen? And thank you for your presentation.
Oh, and Gigi Ogin is here. Can she be on screen so folks can meet her? Those who may have not.
Sure. Yeah, do that briefly.
Gigi, are you there? I don't know if she had any issues with accessing WebEx, but.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there she is. Can we see you? There she is.
Hi, Gigi, welcome.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Do we have any? Does the board have any questions for Carmen or for Gigi? It doesn't sound like it this morning. Thank you both so much for being here this morning. And Carmen, thank you for the presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to continue our work. We're very glad to be with you and to serve our community in Clark County. And we look forward to continue to access new opportunities to serve the community, the Hispanic community that is sorely needing assistance to keep their doors open and to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I think we're moving on then to Proud Ground.
We are pretty far ahead of schedule. Do we have someone from Proud Ground here ready to present? Seems like no. Proud Ground is our last presentation under asset and economic development. I'm wondering if we should maybe just take another 10 or if we want to already skip down to affordable housing.
What's the board's desire here? You guys want to keep going?
It'd be great to keep going. It looks like we're about 30 minutes ahead of time. So we may not have everybody with us, though, to move forward. We might have some.
Is there any way to maybe send out a quick email to these folks, just telling them that we're ahead of schedule and maybe there's an opportunity they could get on early? Or we can take a break and
we can email email presenters, but I do recommend taking a break because even with the email going out, we'd be here waiting to see who joins us. I think David's right. We're about 30 minutes ahead. Should we take a 20-minute break to give an opportunity to people to rejoin us and more or less normalize the schedule, so we'll be about one presenter ahead of time?
Yeah, it's any objection?
Emily, does that work for you?
That's fine with me if it's fine with the board.
Okay, so we'll take a 20-minute break, then be back at 11:10.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, are we back?
I'm here, Councillor Olson. I think we're ready to get started. Board members are here.
Do we have one from our prior Proud Ground? Is that right? Or no?
Yes, yeah, we left off at Proud Ground.
Good morning, or good afternoon. Yes, still morning. This is Rebecca. I just put in the presentation guidelines again, just as a reminder for those that are new to the meeting. Applicants have 5 minutes to present their applications, with 5 minutes for the Urban County Policy Board to ask questions, and the TBRA applications will only have that 5-minute Q&A time only. So Katie, if you're available, we can move on to Proud Ground.
Great. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. All right. I'll get started. Sorry, I was coming in early. You guys are ahead of schedule, which is great. So good morning. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Katie Ulrich, and I'm the Homeownership Program Director at Proud Ground. Next slide, please. Proud Ground is the largest community land trust in the Pacific Northwest and one of the largest in the country. Proud Ground is also a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, and since 1999, we've helped over 500 homebuyers achieve the dream of owning their own home. In the community land trust model, Proud Ground homeowners receive a reduced purchase price and agree to maintain that affordability for the next home buyer. So while that homeowner is still able to build wealth, our future homeowners help future generations of home buyers have access to affordable homes, just like they did. Next slide, please. The community land trust model was born out of the civil rights movement to put ownership of land back into the community's hands. So in the CLT model, the community land trust model, homeowners own the home with a traditional mortgage, and the community land trust owns the land under the home and leases it back to the homeowner through a 99-year renewable land lease. This allows the community land trust to ensure that if the homeowner sells, the home resells for an affordable price to another qualified home buyer. With the money from Clark County, Proud Ground would hold virtual information sessions to educate the community about our program. We would provide HUD-approved housing counseling housing counseling education to income-qualified home buyers, and work with approved households to use Clark County funding as down payment assistance to purchase a home on the market in Clark County. The homebuyer agrees that if they sell, they are going to sell to another low-income household, and Proud Ground ensures that the homes remain stewarded in perpetuity. Next slide, please. And our work has been impactful. Out of the 500 homeowners we've assisted, Proud Ground has helped 21 homeowners in Clark County since 2014. and we've helped an additional 4 homeowners in the city of Vancouver. So we are very grateful for the funding we've received in the past, but there still is a need. And this slide shows the home buyers that we have served and the home buyers that are on our current wait list. So you can see majority of home buyers are households of color, families with children, and all of them are under 80% of the area median income. Next slide, please. As you know, the sales prices continue to rise, and the median sales price of a home, market rate home in Clark County is $485,000, and that is certainly unaffordable for low and moderate income households. And these 3 households that are on the slide here are not just examples of home buyers. These are actually homeowners or home buyers that we help through the Clark County funding purchase their home in the city, in Clark County in previous years. Next slide, please. So Proud Ground is requesting $300,000 in funding from Clark County to assist 4 home buyers. Each home buyer would use $67,000 of the Clark County funding. Proud Ground would contribute an additional $45,000 of funding from its recently awarded Washington Housing Trust Fund dollars. The home buyer would get a mortgage, usually a minimum of about $250,000, and they would contribute at least $500 of their own in a down payment. And Proud Ground also charges a $8,000 program delivery fee, which includes all the home buyer education and counseling and ensuring that the home and the home buyer meet the funding guidelines. The home itself would then become part of Proud Ground's permanently affordable home ownership program, which means it will remain affordable for other home buyers into the future. Next slide, please. So, and the good news is that our model works. Because of the permanent affordability model, Proud Ground has been able to help another homeowner in Clark County without any additional funding needed. This is actually an example of a home that resold in 2017. The original owner purchased the home in 2015 with a $58,000 down payment assistance award. And when the home resold in 2017, the new owner purchased the home at an affordable price without any additional funding needed. So we were able to serve 2 households with that one-time investment. Next slide, please. I think I'm done. I'm going to questions anyway.
Thank you so much. Questions for Katie? Well, it doesn't sound like it. So Katie, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, we will look forward to getting back with you soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep, have a good rest of your day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Katie. So we are now moving on to the affordable housing and homelessness section of the agenda with second step housing.
Everybody, are you ready for me to start?
Yep, go right ahead.
Okay. Thanks for being here, everyone. My name is Tim Foley. I'm the Executive Director of Second Step Housing, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this proposal that we have before you today. Next slide, please. So Second Step Housing, who we are, established 1995. Right now we own over 120 affordable rental units here in Clark County. 80% of our units designated for people and families escaping homelessness. That's a big part of our identity. That's kind of where Second Step comes from. We still have some transitional properties that are shared living. Most of our portfolio, though, is reserved specifically for people and families that are coming to us directly from homelessness. We provide resident services and coordinate any type of resources that people need, while also giving them a safe and stable, affordable place to live. Right now, we're housing over 280 people. That's something that we're very proud of. It's the most we've ever housed in our organization's history by a long shot. We added 21 units over the last year and increased the number of families that we're housing pretty dramatically, so we're proud of that. And the circumstances that are common with our residents are what you would imagine probably: people living with disabilities, recovering from substance use disorders, fleeing domestic violence, and living with very low oftentimes fixed incomes. Next slide, please. We're also a community housing development organization. You've probably heard this acronym before, CHODO. That just means that more than 30% of our board of directors either live in low income neighborhoods or somehow represent low income people. Right now we have a current resident on our board of directors, a former resident on our board of directors, and 2 other people who live in low income neighborhoods. So we feel like this brings a local and authentic voice to our organization's governance. It's something that we're proud of and committed to for the future. Next slide, please. So the proposal, I requested $400,000 in county home funds to acquire existing units and preserve them as affordable units. I've also requested some funding from the city of Vancouver. So right now I'm working with the Vancouver Housing Authority to try and acquire 13 units in Vancouver. The units are located over on Z Street, sort of to the east of Clark College. One typo here, there's actually 9 2-bedroom units and 4 one-bedroom units. So I just switched those when I put this together. So we're hoping that this will go through. The VHA is, these are currently affordable units. The VHA has owned them for a long time, and they're trying to sell them. They want to get rid of them. They approached me. They said, hey, do you want to buy these? Of course, they're going to give us a good price, and the units are in very good shape since the VHA has owned them for many years. So, our goal is to preserve these units, keep them affordable for another 50 plus years, whatever it might be, and continue to serve low-income households. And with these units, as they turn over, we will give preference to families, homeless families with children. That's been a focus of ours for a long time, and it's something that we're going to continue to do. So that's what what's on the table today. Next slide, please. That's it. Time left on the clock. Questions?
Questions for Tim? All right, well, the presentation was so clear and concise that no questions, it looks like. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Tim. Next is Vancouver Housing Authority. Do we have someone here from VHA ready to present?
Yeah, ready to go.
Perfect, go right ahead.
So hi everyone, my name is Scott Sharba. I'll be presenting on behalf of the Vancouver Housing Authority. I'm also joined by Victor Caesar, the Development Director, and Joshua Ollinger, the Development Project Manager. Welcome to Weaver Creek Commons. Next slide, please. The Vancouver Housing Authority was established in 1942 and is the primary role of providing subsidized housing for low-income families, the elderly, and people living with disabilities in Clark County. The mission of VHA is to provide housing opportunities to people who experience barriers to housing because of income, disability, or special needs. It is our goal to fulfill that mission in an environment that preserves personal dignity and in a manner that maintains public trust. And we believe that Weaver Creek Commons is a testament to that mission. Next slide, please. So Weaver Creek Commons is a 3-story elevator-operated building comprised of 80 units. Each unit has a small private outdoor patio or balcony, and residents will have access to shared laundry facilities on site and a flexible community space with computers, television, conference tables, and a warming kitchen. The outdoor amenities will include a playground, walking path, patio, and community garden beds. And Weaver Creek Commons runs through the rear of the lot, providing a large natural backdrop to the property. Really beautiful. So residences include a mixture of studios, 1-bedrooms, and 2-bedrooms, serving a target population of low-income individuals and families in the local community. 70% of the units will serve households earning at or below 60% AMI, and the remaining number of units will be for households earning at or below 50% AMI. VHA will additionally provide rental subsidy for 20% of the units, so they may be set aside for very low-income households exiting homelessness. VHA has developed partnerships with the Battleground Education Foundation and Council for the Homeless to provide services for the residents they refer to this particular project. Another key feature of Weaver Creek Commons is its central location near community amenities and services, educational facilities, and economic opportunities. Weaver Creek Commons is a 3-block walk from the downtown commercial corridor, and within a half-mile watershed of public transit, grocery stores, health service centers, retailers, and recreational activities. Furthermore, elementary, middle, and high schools are all located within a 5-minute drive. Next slide, please. VHA is still in the early stages of securing funding. Awarded funding from the Clark County Home Program will be leveraged with anticipated funding from Washington State Housing Trust Fund, Clark County sales taxes, bond funds, and 4% LIHTC equity. Funding awarded by Clark County will demonstrate that there is local support for the project, really making other funding applications more competitive. Next slide, please. As for scheduling, our primary milestones include financial closing, permitting, and bidding, all with tentative completion dates before the end of 2022. And we anticipate construction to take a minimum of 18 months, expected to begin in early 2023. Next slide, please. Weaver Creek Commons was designed to really meet the housing needs of the local community. The City of Battleground's 2021 Housing Needs Assessment identified that nearly 80% of all housing units are single-family homes, and that there is a significant need to increase and diversify the existing limited housing stock. So single-family dominant markets have shown to be exclusionary and put smaller and lower-income households at higher risk for living in unsafe and overcrowded housing situations. Housing Needs Assessment also found a clear need for smaller unit types, such as studios and one-bedrooms. And VHA can really attest to this growing need for smaller, more affordable units in Battleground, where waitlists at our Mill Creek Apartments property have exceeded 300 qualified applicants seeking those smaller unit types. So we really feel that Weaver Creek Commons is paramount to ensuring low-income households, varied size and needs, can access and maintain stable housing in the 3rd largest city in Clark County. Next slide, please. We feel that Weaver Creek Commons will really go a long way towards addressing a number of these housing-related needs. For instance, Weaver Creek Commons will provide additional options for low-income households to access affordable, dignified housing in Battleground, promote resident health and well-being through intentional design, has the added benefit of fostering residential stability. Weaver Creek Commons also addresses the shortage of multifamily housing in Battleground, alone increasing the number of multifamily units in the city by 7%. Next slide, please. I want to cap it off with the help of Clark County Home Funds. Weaver Creek Commons is sure to positively benefit the city of Battleground, Clark County, and the people who will call Weaver Creek Commons home. So thank you for your time and consideration, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Doesn't sound like we've got questions, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for the board's knowledge, this is Rebecca again with Clark County. We typically, for our larger projects, have a consultant come in and evaluate the project. Vancouver Housing Authority submitted an application last year for this project and was unsuccessful. We had our consultant come in and do their thorough review and present it to the board. We checked in with the minor changes to the financial structure that they're now proposing this time, and the consultant didn't believe it really affected the health of the project. So we didn't bring him back again for another consultation, but just wanted to let you know that we did go through that process.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, we're moving on at this point.
Sure, yeah, if there are no questions for VHA, then I think we are moving on to our TBRA Q&As. We have Janice Youth first, and And again, there's no presentations for these, so I think, do we have a representative from Janus here ready?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, Emily.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. Welcome. So I guess I will just go ahead and turn it over to Scott and to the board for 5 minutes of questions.
Hello, everyone. So the funds that we're requesting are to house homeless youth ages 18 to 25 and help them become self-sufficient. We help them get off the street and provide case management and rental assistance to help them become self-sufficient and not need any more services. So the hope is that this would be the last service that the youth need and no longer enter the system. So I guess there's just questions that we're supposed to, if you have any questions, I can help answer those.
Oh, cool. Go ahead, David, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, has anything changed since the last couple of years in terms of your program?
We are seeing a higher need. The youth that are being referred are scoring higher on the vulnerable assessment tool. So there's a longer service that's needed to be provided. The normal, the 3 to 6 months we're kind of averaging about 6 months to a year, sometimes up to 2 years. That's just because the needs out there and people are on the streets a little longer, and the more trauma you have, the more barriers that presents when you get housed.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, Dave.
So just for the record here, how much are you asking for, Scott?
100,000 for rental assistance and 20,000 for case management.
Okay, and then how many individuals do you think you'll be able to assist with those funds?
You know, around 20 is what we're projecting. 20 households. It could be a little longer. You know, sometimes we help people for a couple months, sometimes even for a couple of years. So, but around 20 is what we've been averaging.
Okay. Other questions? Doesn't sound like it. Scott, any other thoughts?
No, I just want to say, you know, that these funds are, we really appreciate them throughout the years, and they're currently the only funds that target this population of youth ages 18 to 25, specifically designed for those youth. So we really appreciate it. And on behalf of all the youth that we've helped, we really wanted to thank you, because it is a successful program and we see people exit the system. And like I said earlier, we want this to be the last service that the youth ever need. And before we started this program, we would see youth. Janus has a drop-in center and outreach program, and we develop relationships with youth, and you'd come into the drop-in center, and a lot of what we do is building trust with youth because they have a distrust towards adults. So we'd have that trust built, but we didn't have any service to put them into housing, and then we'd see them graduate into the adult system. And this program has really become kind of a stopgap for that cycling into the adult system. So this really helps the community as a whole. So just want to say thanks for that.
Yeah, well, thank you for the work you're doing.
All right, thanks. All right, take care.
Thank you, Scott. Next, we have Lifeline Connections Recovery TBRA program.
Hi, Gina Van Dyken here from Lifeline Connections. And Jeff Zawada is also present, our Fund Development Director. Hello. So yes, we are requesting a total of 150,000, 480,000 to provide County TBRA for recovery to to roughly 10 households, and 125,000 of that being for direct client assistance of rent, utilities, and deposit. We will be serving adults and families who are experiencing homelessness. They have to be literally homeless and diagnosed with one or more behavioral health disorder. One thing that's great about Lifeline Connections is we can get them connected to substance use or mental health treatment internally if they would like to receive those services from Lifeline. Another thing that we're excited to be having in the upcoming year is transportation specialists to help get them connected to their resources, which could be employment, interviews, or all types of things, applications for housing, and also an outreach and engagement specialist when we do have clients who are having some challenges staying engaged with their treatment. So lastly, I would just say one thing we've noticed in the last year or so with our clients is that since the pandemics began, our clients have been requiring assistance for longer periods of time and for higher amounts. So we have kind of adjusted the amounts due to rising housing cost and increased client needs. We're hoping with our, transportation and our outreach and engagement that we can help people secure housing in less time. Any questions?
Any questions? Doesn't sound like it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Salvation Army. Do we have folks here from Salvation Army? I'm not hearing anyone from Salvation Army. We could jump ahead to Share. Is someone from Share here?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm the program director for the Affordable Housing and Stability Program at Share. I've been working for Share for about 8 years, but have been in the Affordable Housing and Stability Program for about a year now. We're asking for $250,000 for rental assistance and $50,000 for case management housing navigation services. I think we anticipate to be able to serve about 40 clients with this. Also, I'm going to echo what the other providers have been saying about the higher needs clients that we're seeing and serving. We are vulnerability based, so all of our referrals come from the Council for the Homeless and have been screened for vulnerability, and we prioritize higher vulnerability population families and singles. So of course, that means that we may be, instead of only providing rental assistance for 6 months, we're providing it for up to 24 months. And we're seeing, obviously an increase in rents in the area. So that too is we're having to accommodate for that as well. We are really focusing on trying to, transition people as quickly as possible from their houselessness into a housing situation where we can help them stabilize and then either sustain the housing that we've identified or assisted them in finding, and or identifying permanent housing for them to be able to not return into the system. So really focusing on reducing the amount of time they spend homeless, stabilize as quickly as we possibly can, and then ensure that when they transition off that they aren't returning to the system. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Questions for Katie? It doesn't sound like it, Katie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Let's see. I want to try to circle back to Salvation Army. Is Angela or Diane here from Salvation Army? Okay, we can come back to them again. YWCA, do we have someone from YWCA here ready to talk about the TBR program?
Yes, thanks, Emily. My name is Vanessa Yeri, and I'm the Deputy Director at YWCA Clark County. I also have Caitlin and Emma here with me. We requested $180,000 for rental assistance for survivors of domestic violence who are currently fleeing abusive relationships. We expect to serve about 14 households throughout the year, and we only put in a request for the rental assistance. we are leveraging other funding to be able to pay for the salary of the staff person. Do you have any questions for us?
How long has the Y been involved in the tenant-based rental assistance programs?
We started a rapid rehousing program last fall, and we currently have 12 survivors enrolled in that. And we have been providing shorter term rental assistance through private funds that's closer to a deposit in 1 month. We recently started the longer term 3+ months rental assistance with the county.
Okay, and were you a requester last year? I'm trying to remember.
No.
So this is your first TB. Okay.
Yeah, because we're a victim services provider, it was really difficult for us to engage in these kinds of systems because we have to constantly think about safety and confidentiality of survivors. But being able to partner with the Housing Solutions Center for such a long time, we were able to come up with a solution for it that maintains safety of survivors. So we're able to kind of utilize these funding sources a bit more now.
Okay, great, thank you. Other questions? Okay, doesn't sound like it. Vanessa, thank you so much, and thank you as well for the work that you're doing.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for having us, letting us present, and for going through our application. We really thank you for your time and for providing this resource to the community.
I'm not seeing that we have anyone from Salvation Army joining yet. We are still ahead of schedule for them. So maybe, I guess we could jump ahead to the end and I'll talk for just a couple minutes about kind of presentation scoring. And then maybe we can come back to Salvation Army if they're ready at that point. So oh, go ahead. If someone
I was just going to agree with you. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. So with all of the applications are in Neighborly. I assigned them out to the board members that, to the best of my understanding, are the folks who are participating in the board meeting and are intending to score applications. If you have not received a series of emails from Neighborly that have links to scoring applications, please let me know. It is possible that it went to someone else in your organization and that I need to send it to you instead. So please let me know if you didn't receive them, and I will switch over the person who is doing the scoring. It should be one person from each municipality. And I will send those over to you. The scoring is done in Neighborly, so there's a link in the applications. I did a really quick refresher on how to actually do the scoring at the last meeting in January. There is also, if you look at the UCPB webpage, the county webpage for the board, there is a little guide on there as well for how to do the Neighborly scoring. So that's there. You're also more than welcome to reach out to me if you have questions or you have any issues doing that. For those of you who have been on the board for a while, the scoring is the same as every year. If you're new to it, again, feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. There's a scoring rubric that is also on the UCPB page for the CDBG and home applications for this year. And as you go through the applications, you will see various categories and a maximum number of points allowable for each category. And you'll be able to enter your number of points that you want to assign out of that, giving you a total for each of the applications that you go through. We would like everyone to please finish going through the applications by Monday, March 7th. The next meeting will be on March 14th, so that'll just be 1 week before the next meeting, when we will go through the recommendations, looking at the scores that everyone has assigned as a board. So I think I just saw Diane and Angela join from Salvation Army. So let's go ahead. Rebecca, can you jump back and we'll talk about the Salvation Army TABOR program. Thanks, Diane and Angela, for being here. We're a little ahead of schedule, so I was just jumping ahead to kill a little bit of time. But you can go ahead and introduce yourselves. We're mostly just doing a Q&A from the board for you, but you are welcome to give a brief introduction of yourselves and your program.
Hi, my name is Captain Angela Morrow, and we are seeking funding today for the TBRA funding for our Pathway of Hope program, which is our primary rental assistance program that we offer to families. Diane?
Hi, good morning, or now it's afternoon. My name is Diane Harmon. I'm Salvation Army Lead Case Manager here in Vancouver, and overseeing myself as well as another case manager, Lindsay Boslin. And we are working with families and have been working with the city for many years. So happy to be here and answer and field any questions you might have.
Questions, Angela, or?
Can you tell us how many families you hope to serve with these funds?
Our goal is to meet with families that come through the Housing Solution Center. 15 families will have an opportunity to visit with them and see if we can help them with case management along their path to choose affordable housing. 15 families should be referred to us, and we usually work with them at least 3 months through case management, but sometimes it takes 3 months to secure housing. But during that time, we will be working with at least 15 families and doing case management along the way and meeting with them at least twice a week to get them into safe housing.
Is there anything different from last year or the year before in the program?
I think it's our approach, honestly. As case managers get creative with using technology to support families, we've also gotten more hands-on, honestly, going and visiting them in their safe space. It might be their home, or it might be in a leasing office where we can meet with all partners to reduce the amount of time or exposure. That's what COVID has brought on, and Salvation Army has been very prominent in our PPO and having those in place so that people feel safe when we meet with them, and giving people opportunity to also meet by Zoom if they choose. But we've utilized phone conversations because parents have been home with their children, and it affords them the ability not to have to leave the safety of their home or leave their children in somebody else's care. So that has been something that in past, it was like going to the doctor's office. They didn't always take their children with them, but now we can include the whole family in the process and be sensitive to that and their limitations also, being at home or in situations where they can't take the kids.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? And just for because I'm not remembering, how long has the Salvation Army been involved in tenant-based rental assistance programs?
At least for the last 30 years, to my knowledge. Mm-hmm.
This is Rebecca with Clark County, and they have not received funding through our TBRA program for the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it's been 3 years, Rebecca, if I'm not I was working with the county 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know the last couple of years there hasn't been an award to the Salvation Army.
Right.
Okay, that was what I was trying to remember. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, it doesn't sound like it. Thank you both very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, I think I was mostly done talking about application scoring. Does anyone have questions about scoring the applications? Or yeah, any questions about that?
Emily, I was just going to mention, I sent you an email. I don't recall getting those scoring emails. They probably went to someone else in our organization.
Okay, but David, you are the person who will be doing the scoring.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make sure that
Emily,
over to you.
Emily, this is Greg Thornton, Mayor of the Center. Jeff Swanson will be doing the scoring for the City of the Center. So hopefully you have the information to him. If not, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I had him to start with, but I will make certain and I'll add him if not. Okay, thank you both. I think that's it on application scoring then. We do always have an opportunity for public comment if there's anyone here.
Public comment? It doesn't sound like it. All right, so are we moving on here to the next meeting agenda item? So Monday, March 14th. And we'll be making those funding recommendations at that meeting, reviewing the scores. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Okay.
All right.
I think, yeah, that's it for me. Councillor Olson, if you have anything to add. But I think, yeah, on staff side, we're done.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the organization and the process today. We really appreciate it. Any feedback or comments for the good of the order from board members today? All right, so we have some work to do between now and March 7th, and we'll see everyone on March 14th. Unless, Michael, you have any last minute parting comments?
No, just thank you everyone for your time and for the work that you're about to put in. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. We will adjourn. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.